What's going on, guys? So I decided I wanted to try and lose some more weight in this 350Z because I haven't been getting the power. I can lose the weight. If I can ever get the power, then I can always add the weight back where I want it. And some of the most weight in this car that's left is going to be up in the front dash. There's the blower motor, there's the heater core, and then we've got the windshield and the rear window. So I'm going to be taking out the windows. I'm going to be replacing those with Lexan. I'm going to be removing all that stuff up in the front, the dash, all that stuff that doesn't need to be there. If I end up finding that I need some airflow on the windshield ever for fog and stuff like that, then I can just add a fan to it so that it'll just kind of help keep blowing on the windshield and keep some of the fog off. But for now, that's kind of the direction I'm going, trying to get rid of that heater core and all that weight in the front. Hopefully, it looks like there's probably a total of 50 pounds that I'm going to be able to take out of this car between the glass and that whole entire front dash. And then that should get me to where I'm compliant with the power that I'm making. If not, it's going to be really close. Kind of a big undertaking. I probably should have been filming a little bit more of this as I was going, but so far I'm all the way down to this factory brace right here. That's kind of a big long metal brace. I've got the steering wheel dropped. It's going to probably end up taking a force of nature to get that thing back in place. I don't know. I'm hoping it's all okay. But yeah, so far that's where I'm at. I'm going to get the windshield removed today and all the glass in the car removed today. So it'll give me some more room and space to be able to get this out, get the blower out. The blower's there. And then you've got I think that's the recirculation and things like that. So if I can get all that stuff out, trim up this brace to where it only has the things hanging off it that needs to be there, and then I'm gonna definitely be able to save a ton of weight in this car. So that's where I'm at so far. I don't have a whole lot of time before the next race weekend. I think I've got a couple weeks, so I've got quite a bit to do, but I think I've got time and I've got the space to be able to get it done. So I've got some pieces here. Once I get the glass out, I can kind of make my templates, cut it out, and then screw it down, mold it in. The nice thing about the Lexan is it lasts a lot longer than the windshields too. It doesn't crack out and everything like the glass does. Well, there's the rear window out. And we'll get this front one out, and then that'll help me get this remaining piece that I need to get out of the front to be able to get to the heater core and the air blower. So this is that brace bar, for the structure that supports the front of the car, and this is what the steering wheel and steering column bolts to. This bolts to the side of the chassis. This bolts to the other side, but I couldn't get it out without cutting it because the cage was in the way, to where if the car didn't have a cage, that wouldn't be in the way. So the cage was in the way. I had to cut the bracket off. I'm just going to have to weld it back on. But there was a ton of brackets on here that are not necessary, so I just went ahead and chopped them all off just to clean it up a little bit, save some more weight, and then I'm going to put it back in, and then I can start working on putting it back together the way that I want to and get the windshields put in. So I've got the glass out, I've got the whole entire dash out, I've got all this stuff out, so I'm going to finish up everything underneath the dash, clean it up, reset where all my controls are for my cool suit and my start buttons and my switches, and even my on-off switch for the car and the battery. I'm mounting the battery down inside the chassis. I'll show you real quick. So the battery is going to be mounted down here now, which is going to bring the weight down. I'm also probably going to put my cool suit unit right here, so all the extra weight is here, which kind of counteracts the weight that I have on the driver's side, and it should balance the car out even better. And I just cut out some Lexan for the front windshield. So what I did is I took the front windshield, which is right there, and I laid it down on the Lexan, and I rolled it as I marked it, so it ended up making the perfect shape, and I just fit it to the car, and it looks great. I'm really excited for that. Now I just have to do the rear window, and then I will be done with cutting that out, and then I'm gonna, of course, have to mount it. But it's coming along good. Really excited. I've been weighing some things, and so far it looks like I've probably cut about 45 pounds out of the car. I still haven't weighed the windshield, and maybe I should do that next. The windshield weighed 25 pounds, but I wonder what the new windshield's going to weigh. Hopefully it's going to be somewhere around 15, and that'll save me another 10 pounds just on the windshield alone, which also helps bring the weight of the car down. The lower the weight you can get, the better and more balanced the car is going to feel. And so I mocked up the windshield, I cut it out, and I'm going to paint the edges of the new Lexan windshield so that it kind of looks black and it covers up a lot of the mess underneath. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see on the windshield on this Mustang, it's got like this black line. It could also have a banner across the top that would kind of help block with sun and things like that, but they didn't do that. Also, underneath you can see just there's so much gunk and everything that the windshield can actually kind of cover up. So I'll have a black line that comes across. We're going to have a banner that comes down. And the way that I did that is, the Lexan's already covered in a plastic. So I just kind of mocked up what I wanted covered up, in black. Stripped all that off, left the original plastic on the Lexan, and I'm just going to throw some paint over the top of it. I do have some adhesion promoter, so I'm going to use that first, and then I'll throw down a little bit of paint. I don't know how well it's going to last or what it's going to look like, but at least I have an option to be able to kind of cover up some of the gunk that it's going to show. If I don't do that, I think it'll look a lot better, and we'll see how it lasts. Here's the original rear glass, and I'm going to be mocking up the rear glass as well, doing the same thing. I weighed this front windshield and the stock front windshield. The stock front windshield was 25 pounds, and this one is, I believe it was 14 or 15, so it saved 10 pounds just in the front glass. It's probably only going to save about 5 pounds on the rear glass. This glass isn't as heavy as I thought it was. But then, I've stripped out the whole entire inside of the car. I decided to move the battery down here in the front. We've got the fire suppression system. I'm going to put my cool suit unit right here so that all the weight is kind of counteracting my weight in the driver's seat. I had to mock up kind of a center console, and so this is what I did. I used some of that Lexan that I have, and I've got my cool suit unit, control unit right there. I've got my on-off switches and the start button, all that stuff right there. I've got the main power on-off switch right here, and I think I'm going to put the fire suppression system pull handle right in there somewhere too, just so it's all kind of quick and simple to reach. I was able to still implement the stock gauges right here so that I have oil pressure. That's pretty much about all I need. I'm going to have the stock tachometer and speedometer, fuel gauge and things like that right there. I think I'm going to put that plastic cover back on the bottom just so that I don't scrape my knees up and things like that getting out of the car. So far it's looking good. I know that the heater core unit ended up weighing 20 pounds. I've weighed a couple different buckets, 13 pounds each or so. So far it seems like I'm probably going to end up saving about 60 pounds, which it's a lot of work trying to find 60 pounds out of a car. And so far I think I've done it, and hopefully that just only helps with times on the track. Alright guys, so to paint this windshield, I've got Prep All, which kind of cleans up the surface. I've got some adhesion promoter right here that's going to help the paint stick better to the plastic. And then I've got this, this is body paint that's put into an aerosol can. It's black. So we're going to go ahead and shoot those edges like I talked about. I've got it laid out right here, so I'm just going to clean it up, throw a little bit of adhesion promoter on it, wait about 5 minutes, and then throw the black down. Alright, I'm just going to stick it out here in the sun for a little bit, and the sun will bake it. That'll harden the paint quite a bit, and then I'll be able to install the windshield. Well guys, here is the windshield I made, and I put a little support brace right there just in case something heavy tries to hit it. It's going to have some support. And so far I tell you, I am pretty proud of this. It turned out really good. I've just got to finish mounting it and drilling holes and get it all mounted up, and then we'll do the rear one as well. But so far I'm pretty tickled with how this has turned out. So we have the front windshield done. I have a piece of 2mm thick tint coming that I'm going to actually lay on the outside of the windshield so that the windshield itself doesn't get scraped up really easily, because Lexan scratches quick and easy. So it'll kind of be like a tear off, but not quite. It's the best thing I could do before the next race weekend, which is in a couple of days. I'm working on the rear window now, so I mocked up the template from the last window, and then I've just cut off some of the sheathing around it so that I can still paint the bottom side, and the color is going to come through this direction so that the outside won't be painted, the inside will be. But I did this so that I could see where I was mounting it to, because doing the front windshield was a little bit difficult having it painted black already. So I'm going to mount this whole thing up. I'll take it back off, then I'll paint it, and then I can take I've got some on the inside, I've got some on the outside of it, just to kind of protect this glass while I'm working with it. But I'll get my mounting hardware all put in, I'll get that completely set, and then I'll take it back off, and then I will go outside, paint this up, and then come back in and put it back on. Well, everyone, it has been an undertaking this last go round between race weekends. So from last race weekend to this race weekend, I gutted the interior, I made Lexan windows, so I was all about trying to save weight, try to get weight kind of positioned in the car where I wanted it to be, as well as taking some of the aero stuff and minimizing it so I didn't have to take deductions, so that I could lose the weight and even still potentially add power. So I ended up losing a total of 75 pounds in the car, which is quite extensive, honestly. I didn't think that I'd be able to get that much out of it, but between taking out the entire dash and the heater core and gutting the interior that way, and replacing the windshield and the rear window with Lexan, I was able to lose a total of 75 pounds. And that's, roughly on my scales, it was about 75 to 80. It really just depends on what it's going to be like out at the track. Lately, the track has shown lighter weight than my scales. I don't know why. My scales seem to be accurate, but so I've got to get the car put together, get it out to the track, and get it scaled there, because that's where it matters the most when I'm coming off track, making sure that I'm not underweight. But it seems as though I'm getting closer and closer to having a fully, at the limit ST4 car. There was a couple of things going on with cam position sensors and stuff with the engine as well. I don't think that that's kind of been the issue all along with low power, because this car's had low power for so long, but who knows. So I'm going to try to see what I can do about getting the car dynoed, just to verify that I'm not overpower. I get disappointed every single time I dyno the car and it's lower on power than I want it to be. So I don't think that all of a sudden miraculously the car's going to be making more power. But if it does, then I'm actually going to have to add weight back to the car, but now I can position it where I want it. Well, I'm pretty excited about the car, guys. I'm really excited to get on track and see how this weight reduction stuff has helped. As well, I've still got the JRZ suspension that's going to be coming. I don't think it's going to be coming anytime soon. Definitely probably not by this weekend. So it'll kind of actually be nice to run the car in the trim that it is, with the suspension that it is, so that I know, hey, I'm kind of at the peak I can be, and then add the suspension and see if I can get the car, that much faster. So we'll see. Hopefully that's how it all turns out. But for now, this is where we're at. We're going to go racing, and we'll see how it goes.